Coming in on a 16-6 run. Let's talk NFL Week 13. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in to another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I am your host, Steven, and we're back to talk some more football. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving with family and friends, and we're back to the grind. We had a great 5-1 day on Thanksgiving. We will go over that in the recap now on a 16-6 run. Let's see if we can stay hot. We are recording this just before that Friday game is kicked off, so we do not know what happened there yet. But couple quick reminders. NFL player props video will be out later this evening, so Friday night, just like usual. We are up over 10 units on props, so you got to love that. Let's see if we can keep it rolling there. NBA bets for Friday. If you are watching this video on Friday, they were on the 3 normal spots because we didn't have time to do a video. They're on the community tab of YouTube, on X, and on Discord if you were looking for those. But let's get right into it, and that means it's time for the dad joke. So here we go. I apologize if I've used this one before, but let's try it out. Have you heard of the new sport called quiet tennis? It's like regular tennis, but without all the racket. Not bad, huh? Anyways, in this video, we're going to recap that beautiful Turkey Day that we just had, and then we're going to go over the Week 13 trends. They went 6-4 last week, and then we'll give you our best bets and finish it with the recap. So hit that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below to help this channel continue to grow. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as we're now on our way to 34,000 subscribers. Thanks for the support. Let's get into it, and that means it's recap time. All right, there it is. It was a great day while we stuffed our face with food. Caleb Williams, 200 plus pass yards. Gibbs, 50 plus. Gibbs was just an easy, that was like first, second quarter. Williams, 200 plus pass yards. This Bears offense was absolutely atrocious. He had like 10 yards a half. He didn't. He had a little more, but it was terrible. I thought all the props were dead. Luckily, he comes to life and the offense comes to life before they decide to absolutely choke down the stretch and not know how to coach or manage a team. But just by the way, right, just before we recorded, I saw that Eberflus got fired. So that makes sense. Second one, Rome Odunze. Well, guess what? He was my 1-unit play, and it didn't work. It just didn't happen. Just too slow of a start. Got 2 receptions in the second half, and he just kept feeding DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. So it is what it is. He had a few extra targets he could have got, but just not there. Cowboys team total over 20.5 was a 19.5 was an easy winner. They ended up with 27 points, also thanks to a defensive touchdown in there. Malik Neighbors over 6.5 receptions. I think he had 8 or 9, and that's with a couple drops. So that was a nice, easy winner. Devon Achane came through in the second half in that game to score a touchdown. And then Jonnu Smith is an absolute beast. One of their top pass targets now. He easily went over 4.5 receptions. So it was a great day as we dug out of that terrible week we had a few weeks ago. So now 103, 104 on the year, up 4.26 units. We give the full breakdown with where we're at with player props, game bets, anytime touchdowns, all that on our Sunday night videos. So that is the overall record and the Turkey Day recap. And now let's talk some trends. All right, here we go. Let's talk some trends. We've been doing this all year, did it all last year. As you can tell on the bottom, last season, 115 and 81 if you just blindly tailed these. Again, this should be a part of your handicap. I'm not asking you guys to just blindly tail them. This season, 77 and 71 on the trends. So trends obviously mean something. A winning record last year so far, a winning record this year. I'm only going to have one page this weekend, though. So we start out, Raiders gone over their team total in 4 straight games. Their team total is a ridiculously low 13.5. Texans 9-2 straight up after a loss since the start of last season. That means you would take the Texans on the money line. Chargers 8-2-1 ATS in the first half this season. Chargers -1 if you like that one. Cardinals 0-11 straight up lifetime in Minnesota. Again, that trend is with other teams, other players. It is what it is. So Titans 0-7 against the spread after a win since the start of last season. Washington -6 if you like that one. Over is now hit in 4 straight Bengals home games. The total in that is 47.5. Patriots 2-11-1 ATS their last 14 games as a home underdog. That would mean you take the Indianapolis Colts -2.5. And then the Jets 2-9 against the spread in the last 9 games as an underdog. That would mean you take my Seattle Seahawks -1. And then Rams 11-2 against the spread last 13 games played in December. They play well at this time of the year, obviously. That means you take the Rams -2.5. Tampa Bay and Carolina are combined 18-4 to the first half over this year. That is pretty impressive. And that first half total I see is 23.5. And then Baltimore 11-4 straight up in the second half, the last 15 games. If you watch their games, there is a trend. If you want to live bet it, Ravens struggle in the first half, and they dominate in the second half. Baltimore second half money line right now is -130. So there's all the NFL Week 13 trends, and now it is time for the best bets. All right, this first one takes us out to New Jersey, where the Jets host my Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks -1 total in this game is 42.5. I'm taking the total. My best bet in this one is under 42.5 at -115 on FanDuel. Is the half unit play. Let's talk about the units real quick. Last week we decided to just cut it back a little bit on the game bets and go half unit each. We went 3-0. I'm just really superstitious. I'm just gonna stick to a half unit on these three. You guys do what you want, but these are my three favorites. But things have changed for my Seattle Seahawks lately. The Seahawks offense, they haven't scored much more than 20 points since week 7, averaging only 16.5 points per game. That's not where the change is. We'll talk about that in a bit. But the biggest issue, it's been our run game. It just hasn't really been there. Kenneth Walker, last 4 games, 64 carries, 190 yards for 2.9 yards per carry. We have not been able to get enough push on the O line and just have not had a great run game. Geno Smith has racked up the yards, but turnovers have been an issue. He has 6 interceptions the last 4 games, mistakes at the worst time if you watch their games in the red zone. Over the course of the season, he has 12 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. That's a red zone problem and other problems. But he struggled last month or so, or so at least. Our whole offense has, not just him, but to score touchdowns when we get in the red zone, we continue to settle for field goals. Seahawks defense. This is where the changes happen. Our defense has been dominant since the bye. Let's face it. We shut down San Fran, we shut down Arizona, and we held them to 17 and 6 points in those 2 games. The run defense has been a big part of it. We struggled earlier in the year. Now we got that big boy, Leonard Williams, who has just looked absolutely dominant against the run. He's really helped. We held Connor and Benson last week to 11 carries for 26 yards, held McCaffrey to 76 yards on 19 carries. Hawks are getting a ton of pressure. If you watch that game against Arizona, they were in the backfield almost every play, it seemed like. They had a couple sacks and pressures versus San Fran. 5 sacks while living in the backfield with Kyler Murray. Overall, they've just proven to be a great defense lately. And Mike McDonald is a defensive specialist, so I am starting to really believe in this defense, and that's why I like this under. But let's talk Jets offense now. They just cannot get the pass game rolling with Rodgers. Rodgers is the problem. He's just not very good, let's face it. He had only 184 pass yards last week against the Colts. That's right. They lack a deep passing game, which is really hurting them. Brees Hall is obviously the key to moving the ball for them. He's questionable, but I do expect him to play. I'm not betting this because he's questionable, but the Hawks' run defense, like I've said, has been absolutely dominant. If they can play like that again and Brees Hall gets stuffed, it's going to be all on Aaron Rodgers, and he has not proven this year that he can still be Aaron Rodgers anymore. I expect Witherspoon to slow down or stop Devontae Adams or Garrett Wilson. So if we just kind of forget the names, and we kind of have, I think, already with Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, I mean, they have all the talent on paper. It just has not it turned into many points. They have not consistently moved the ball, consistently scored in the red zone. It's just not a fluke. We're late in the season now. They're 27th in points for a reason. This Jets offense will struggle to get points, in my opinion. Now, the Jets defense going up against the Seattle offense. The Jets defense has struggled a bit, but like I've said before, the Seahawks offense have not proven that they can do much as well on offense. The biggest weakness for the Jets defense is their run defense, but like I mentioned, Kenneth Walker and this offensive line has not been able to get a lot of push and not been able to run the ball very well. So I think it kind of washes out a little bit, kind of helps that. But overall, we do have some big time players questionable. Other than Brees Hall, we got Tyler Lockett questionable, DK Metcalf questionable. I just see two defenses that dominate here. Both defenses are better than the offenses. I see a 17-14, maybe a 20-14 type of game. A lot of field goals, things like that. Obviously cold weather there in New Jersey. So give me the under 42.5 in this one as my first best bet. All right, this second one takes us out to the Superdome where the Saints host the LA Rams. Rams -2.5. Total in this one is 49.5. I'm taking a side. Give me the Rams -2.5 at -115 on BetMGM. I like getting the under 3 if you still can. Again, another half unit play here, but I'm fading the Saints once again. I know it didn't work out last time. That was with the Browns. They are now 2-0 under the new interim head coach. I still don't buy it. I just flat out don't. So let's talk about the Saints. In the last 2 games, well, how about 440 plus yards allowed in both games to the Browns and the Atlanta Falcons? They won the turnover battle 3-0 against the Falcons. We talked about that game. They got lucky, a lot of missed field goals, turnovers, things like that. So in those 2 games, they gave up a total of 682 pass yards to Winston and Cousins. It's not like this defense is all of a sudden dominating or anything. And now they face a good offense with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua healthy. Stafford averages almost 300 yards per game with those 2 guys we've talked about on our prop shows. But Rams top 10 in pass yards per game. We know they know how to throw it all over the field. But the Rams run game, and this is where the key is going to be. They've struggled since earlier on the year when they were doing well, but they showed signs of life the last 2 weeks. Kyron ran for a combined 158 yards on 31 carries, over 5 yards per carry. in the last 2 weeks versus the Patriots and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now they face a bad Saints run defense, second most rush yards per attempt at 5 yards per carry. This is going to be the key. As long as they can just get a decent run game going, it's really going to set up this pass game, and it's going to be really difficult for the Saints to stop this. Also, the Rams need to stop fumbling the ball. They are doing that way too much. But Saints offense, I think the Rams pressure is going to make life miserable on Derek Carr. If you don't know, the Rams have the number one pressure rate in the entire NFL. The key to this side of the ball will be the run game as well. Can the Rams slow down this Saints run game? They got demolished by Saquon last week. I know that Saquon in that run offense is a different animal, but I honestly don't mind it because I think that means they're more likely to make adjustments. They focus all week on how to improve their run defense and fix all those mistakes. It was Taysom Hill last week when he ran for 138 yards on only 7 carries. Browns could not tackle to save their life. They couldn't get off a block to save their life. So now it's kind of a two-headed monster a little bit with Kamara and Taysom Hill, but I think the Rams can make some adjustments and at least slow them down. Ultimately, this is just what I would love to see is the Rams get out to a lead, because once they do, I want to see them force the Saints to have to pass the ball more and more as the game goes on, because that's when those pass rushers for the Rams can just pin their ears back and go after Derek Carr. So hopefully you can get out to a lead. I think it'll be kind of important in this one. But Rams, if you forgot already, before they got crushed by that machine that is the Eagles right now, they were 4-1 in their last 5. They now have their healthy receivers here. So I think the Saints come back down to earth. I think the Rams get a win here. I also like the Rams team total over if you want to go that route. But my second best bet, Rams -2.5. All right, this third one takes us out to the AT where the Falcons host the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers -1 total in this one is 47.5. I'm taking a team total. Give me the Chargers team total over 23.5 at -118 on DraftKings for half unit. I love getting the under 24. That is a key number here, so I love getting this for the team total. But this defense is struggling for the Falcons. Let's talk about this Atlanta defense. Bottom 12 versus the run and the pass this year in regards to run yards per game, pass yards per game. Just gave up 400 yards to Denver, 365 to the Saints. They are literally incapable of getting pressure on the quarterback. It is in their contract to not do it. You know, there's just a couple teams that have that, and they have been so bad. This is crazy, guys. They have 1 or less sacks in 9 of the last 10 games. 1 or less. And by the way, if you don't know what less is, that's 0. Here's another unreal stat. And this makes sense after that last one, but they have a total of 10 sacks this year. 10. The next closest is the Carolina Panthers with 17. They have almost double the next team. I mean, it is, or half if you want to go that way. Anyways, third lowest QB pressure rate. Herbert should have absolutely all day to find his receivers, including Quentin Stonehands Johnson. I expect him to catch some balls this time. Falcons just gave up over 300 passing yards to Bo Nix, 269 to Derek Carr. And by the way, that's a lot. That is the most Derek Carr has had all season long. So this Chargers offense, they've looked better lately. They've gone over this total in 4 of the last 5 games. J.K. Dobbins is out. I get it. It's not ideal, but I think Edwards is going to be fine. And what they can also do against this Atlanta team, we've talked about it a lot. They play too high safety. They allow the most completions in the NFL. So I think the Chargers will use that short passing game as kind of an extension of the run. Instead of getting 4 or 5 yard runs, they can easily get a lot of completions. I think Herbert has a decent amount of completions in this game as well. But they've been good in the red zone as well. 12th in touchdown percentage. Falcons have the 12th worst red zone touchdown defense. Chargers been pretty average on third down, but the Falcons have been struggling all year to get off the field on third down. They are 30th, and part of that is because third down, sometimes it's a lot of passing plays, and quarterbacks have all day. That just is what it is. When you do not get pressure, you will struggle. This offense, I think, for the Chargers, is more equipped to not have Dobbins now as opposed to earlier in the year, because as you can tell, their pass game is really opened up. Herbert's playing well. The playbook is just really opened up in general for them. They've been throwing the ball quite a bit. So ultimately, I mean, we have a good quarterback in Justin Herbert who's going to have all day to throw. You're not going to be able to stop him. I still think the Chargers will be able to run the ball a little bit, but like I said, it's a lot about this passing game for the Chargers. I think they get to 27 or more points here. I just need 24. I don't think that's a big ask against this Atlanta defense that has just not looked good at all. So give me the Chargers team total over 23.5 as my third best bet. And now let's check out the Trends Parlay. All right, we finish it off with a Trends Parlay. I'm going to throw a half unit on it. It's not official, but we are due for a winner. So what I'm going to do is pick my favorite trends, and we're going to put it together and see if we get a winner. It's plus 398 for this one. It's a 3-legger. The first one over 23.5 in the first half between the Bucks and the Panthers. The trend here, These two teams are 18-4 to the first half over. Again, these trends are from earlier in the video. Analysis on this one, these teams just get off to good starts. Let's face it, both defenses have struggled all season long. The Bucks stopping Giants and Danny DeVito doesn't really count last week, but the Panthers offense and Bryce Young also has looked pretty competent lately. It's weird to say out loud. They just put up 27 on the Chiefs. It's just not the same offense as they had earlier in the season. I think they can get some points here, and the Bucks offense is just rolling. You saw they have a three-headed monster at running back. They got Mike Evans back, which is absolutely huge, as we saw last week against the New York Giants. They got Kate on at tight end. They got some weapons. Baker's playing really well. So I don't see any reason why they just don't come out scoring a ton of points. I like the over for the full game, so I might as well take the over in the first half for the first leg. Second leg, Texans on the money line. The trend here, Houston 9-2 straight up after a loss since the start of last season. They lost last week to the Tennessee Titans. Analysis here, they're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's my analysis. The Jags suck. They just flat out do, but it does look like Trevor Lawrence will be back. It's going to be a tough matchup because he's now facing a top 5 pass defense, giving up the 5th fewest pass yards per game. Texans also very good on third down, facing the Jags, who just struggle mightily. They are 30th on third down offensively. Jags are a bottom 8 team versus the run and the pass right now on defense. It's just all been a mess, to be honest with you. But the Texans been average this year offensively. It's not what people were expecting. CJ Stroud just has not looked the same since the first year. But enter in the Jaguars defense. I mean, no team has given up more yards than the Jacksonville Jaguars. They can get beat through the air or on the ground. They do not discriminate. I expect the Texans to bounce back here and give me the Houston Texans on the money line second leg. Third leg, it's another money line. Give me the Vikings on the money line. Arizona, this is the trend. Arizona 0-11 lifetime in Minnesota. How much does that matter again? I don't know. But I think the Vikings win in general, so that's why I took it. Here we go. Kyler in the offense. You saw it last week. They struggled against my Seattle Seahawks because the Seahawks got a ton of pressure. Now they face one of the highest pressure and highest blitz teams in the entire NFL in the Vikings. The key to stopping Arizona is not only getting pressure on Kyler, it's also stopping the run. They always feed off of James Conner. When he has big games, that's when this offense really gets rolling. You saw the Hawks last week absolutely stuff James Conner and this run game, and the Arizona Cardinals just couldn't do anything about it. That along with getting a lot of pressure. Well, here we go. Enter in the Vikings defense now. Absolutely elite run defense. We've tailed some running backs versus them on some under yards this year, and they're also one of the highest pressure rate teams, like I mentioned. So I think it's going to be tough. There's going to be a lot on Kyler Murray's arm in this one because I don't think they're going to run the ball very well. So Vikings also at home are a very tough team to beat. Give me the Vikes on the money line, along with the Texans on the money line, and the over 23.5 in the first half between the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Carolina Panthers. Let's get a freaking Trends Parlay winner finally. So again, it's not official, just something I wanted to give out. Also, another way to talk about some other games as well. But plus 398 is what I got on DraftKings. So before we get out of here, let's check out the recap. All right, there it is. We start with the under 42.5 in the Seahawks-Jets game, minus 115. Rams, minus 2.5, minus 115 as well. And the Chargers team total over 23.5 at minus 118. I'm going half unit on each play because, again, we did it last week and we went 3-0. I don't want to change it up. So you guys do what you want with the unit size. But the Trends Parlay this week, the over 23.5 in the Tampa Bay Carolina game in the first half. Texans money line, Vikings money line for plus 398. We are due for a Trends Parlay winner, that's for sure. But thank you guys for watching. As always, I appreciate the support this entire NFL season. Again, the NFL player props video will be out later Friday evening as we look to stay hot with those. But hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.